Good morning, dear friends. My name is Clive Thompson. I'm here to tell you the morning news for today, Tuesday, 19th of August, 2025. So the news which is dominating the headlines is the meeting between President Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. There's no immediate outcome from that meeting, at least nothing substantive, other than to say that it could result in a deal in the next 10 days. Obviously, whatever has to be agreed will have to be agreed by Russia and Ukraine and Europe and the United States. So we're not really expecting any big news in the coming days, but I'm sure Mr. Trump will be happy tweeting away saying how wonderful the talks are going. So the markets didn't really react much to anything last night. There was barely no movement on any of the indices. The S&P was down less than 1/100%. The Dow was down less than 0.08%, almost nothing, and the Nasdaq was up 0.03%. So you can see literally no change. I mean, not even 0.1% change on any index there. Gold was also little changed. It was up $6.10 at 3,337.20. That's the latest price. And silver's latest price is slightly down at $37.87, but down only 8 cents. No big deal. Platinum fell just $1 at 1328, and palladium was literally unchanged at $1,113. The dollar index, known as the DXY, which is an index of multiple currencies against the dollar, rose about 0.7% overnight, 0.8%, from around 97.4 to 98.2. So strong dollar. Interesting that gold actually went up at the same time as the dollar got stronger. The big news will be the Jackson Hole Symposium. That's going to dominate what happens this week. The big news, whatever it will be, and it may not be big news, but the news that everyone's waiting for is when the Fed Chairman Powell will speak on Friday about the economic outlook. Currently, the futures are pricing in an 83.6% probability of a cut in September, an interest rate cut in September. Now, that level is down from 100% cut just before the PPI numbers, the Producer Price Inflation Index, last week on Wednesday. So it was 100% probability of a cut, where the only question was, will it be 0.25% or 0.5% cut? Well, that probability has changed to 0% probability of a 0.5% cut, an 83.6% chance of a 0.25% cut, and about 16% probability of no change. So the expectations of no change have increased since the inflation report, the PPI report last week. Now the PPI number came in for the month a 0.9% increase, compared with an expected 0.3% increase. So 0.9% increase times 12 months would be an inflation rate of more than 10% in the PPI if you extended it like that. Whether I don't think that'll be quite the case. But what the rising PPI does show us is that inflation is creeping back into the system. And this is probably coming from the tariffs. In other words, producers, some of them are paying tariffs and they're seeing their costs go up. So over the months which follow, those increased costs are likely to get passed on to consumers. So we should see the consumer price index ticking up in the coming months as well. Don't forget the producer price index is a precursor to what's going to happen in the consumer price index, because when producer prices go up, sooner or later the consumer prices go up. So perhaps that explains a little bit why the gold price is holding so steady, if not rising very slightly. This morning in Asia, the markets were very subdued. The Nikkei index was I think there's a record actually here. It's up 0.87%, at 43,819.75. The Hang Seng Index fell slightly, 0.37% to 25,176. In Europe yesterday, the Stoxx 600 is very near to the high of March, but not much change again. Bitcoin fell heavily over the last few days, having touched 122 or 123,000 dollars a Bitcoin. The price went down yesterday to 116,000, and today I see it as 114,959. And traders are saying there is no support for it until it gets to 112,000, which is probably where it's going to bounce, they say. Let's just go on and see what's happening. Yes, on the corporate front, we saw Palo Alto Networks surge in price by 5% to $185 after they reported good earnings. They beat the analyst estimates. They reported quarterly earnings of 95 cents compared with the analyst estimates of 89 cents. And they gave out strong guidance for 2026, so that helped drive the rally. We've got some earnings reports coming up today before the market opens. Home Depot, analysts will be watching that to see whether people are buying goods there. The expected earnings of $4.70 per share, which would be revenue growth. Well, they're expecting revenue growth of 5.1%. Otherwise, what have we got going up? We got Eurozone inflation at 9 o'clock this morning. US housing starts at 2:30. US industrial production at 3:15. And tomorrow, Wednesday, all eyes will be on the UK inflation numbers coming out before the market opens at 8:30 in the morning. And in the afternoon, we'll have the US retail sales. And yes, on Wednesday, we'll get the minutes of the last FOMC meeting. It'll be interesting to read the minutes because that was the first meeting in many, many years where they had 2 dissenters out of the 7-man board of governors of the FOMC. And of course, I've said it before, but the big thing coming up will be at 4 o'clock on Friday, August the 22nd. It'll be Jerome Powell's speech at Jackson Hole. So the big news this week will be Jackson Hole, waiting for that, and the outcome of any results from the Ukraine peace talks. Nothing big expected. None of what I've said is investment advice, but if you'd like to get daily financial news in the future, do subscribe and like, and I'll try and answer some of the comments in the next few hours if I can. Thank you very much, everybody. My name is Clive Thompson, and you can follow me on LinkedIn.